It's been quite enlightening, quite inspirational, and very revolutionary. I thank everybody that has contributed. It was good to hear from Amenya, Muthiora, and Professor in particular, but also Jelani and others. This is what I would like to say based on what I have heard. Number one, and this is based on my experience and also readings, do not let anybody tell you that speaking is bad, that we just speak, and do nothing. In any free society, and Kenya, we want to make Kenya a free, democratic society governed by the rule of law. Speaking is the basis of gauging democracy. There will be no democracy if we don't speak. Don't allow anybody to muzzle you. Don't let anybody tell you that X spaces or social media is useless and whatnot, and yet they're on TV every day, they're on rallies and funerals every weekend. They just don't want you to speak. They want to muzzle your voice. So I'm going to encourage everybody, keep speaking, no matter, especially when they tell you that speaking is useless. Don't let somebody tell you that you're speaking too much, that you need to do anything else. Speech is action. Speech is something. So that's number one. Embrace speech. Make your speech be empowering. Use social media robustly and vibrantly, and continue to participate in these spaces. Because during the revolutionary movements that we've been talking about historically, they didn't have this fora, the social media fora. They didn't have Facebook, they didn't have Twitter or X, they didn't have Instagram, they didn't have TikTok, they didn't have YouTube. And all they were doing, if they were able, is to use radio, shortwave radio, and pamphlets. It was very difficult to reach their cadre or the populace. So we have a way of reaching the populace directly. Let's use it without excuses. Number two, let's avoid cynicism, fatalism, and exasperation. Let's say, oh, he's too strong. He's killing everybody. We will not succeed. It's taken so long. We've just been going round and round in circles. We've lost pace. We have not lost anything. There are all these societies that we've been talking about that led revolutions and transformed their societies, were oppressed sometimes for hundreds of years. Slavery lasted for 400 years, for God's sake. It did not just end overnight. So let's not talk as if freedom's liberation struggle is a wedding procession. The South Africans only removed the apartheid system after 100 years. Colonialism itself in Kenya did not end overnight. So we cannot be exasperated. We cannot be fatalistic. We cannot adopt the cynic attitude. That's number two. Number three, I agree with Amenya. We cannot unite just for the sake of unity. And we cannot be told that when we have evidence of Ruto having imposed or attempted to infiltrate the movement using certain characters we know, that there is something wrong calling them out. We must be vigilant. We must expose all infiltrators, no matter how they try to project themselves to be. Infiltration is a sophisticated process. To be able to infiltrate a movement, you must pretend to be part of the movement. You must pretend very honestly to be fighting the government. For the government to pay you, they must make sure that you are good enough to be accepted by the other side. So the people they brought to infiltrate our movement are quite good. We are not saying they are not good. Otherwise, they would not have infiltrated it. But they did. And in many societies, revolutionaries are murdered by infiltrators. Sankara was killed by Kompore, whom he thought was his brother, whom he grew up with, that he started the revolution with. Who killed Malcolm X, a black man who belonged to the Nation of Islam? I mean, who killed Martin Luther King? Who has killed all the revolutionaries, if you remember? Who killed Trotsky in Mexico? Who killed Che Guevara? So this is historical. Who killed Jesus Christ, for God's sake? So the fact is, do not lose or be lazy or give excuses for infiltrators, because it's easy to be destroyed and to be sabotaged by an infiltrator than by Ruto. Because only the infiltrator will tell him what we are discussing when we go to closed door discussions, or what we are planning when we go to closed door discussions. So we must be able to expose them. That's number 3. Number 4. So let's be vigilant. Number 4, let's not be classist. Every member of the movement, every revolutionary is the same. There is no eminent or less eminent. I understand what my brother Amenya was trying to say, that we need advisors and whatnot. No, advisors are part of the movement. They are not more eminent than others. The moment we stop talking in a classist language, we become full revolutionaries, because we are not going to judge people based on their titles, academic or otherwise, based on how much money they have, based on how articulate they are, based on the positions they hold in society, based on age or gender, based on any other identifiable characteristics. Let us be judged by the quality of our contributions, by the commitment that we give to the movement, not because we have held positions before. Because after all, in Kenya, you only hold positions because you are favored, not because you're the most qualified, not because you contribute more than anybody else, not because you come with the most original, creative, innovative ideas to transform society. That's not why people are even elected into office. So I get wary when we emphasize more on elections in a completely tyrannical society. A society where parliament is nothing really but an extension of state house. Let nobody lie to you that any parliamentarian or senator is doing anything substantive to Kenya. None, zero, none of them. That's a fact. Because if they do, I need to see the bill they brought and passed into law that has transformed any aspect of our lives. Give me one example. Any of them? None. All the laws are debaucheries. All the laws are retrogressive. All the laws have not served the Kenyan popular interest. So how come we don't hear them on the floor of parliament opposing these laws? How come they are only vocal once the laws have been passed and the public are up in arms? How come? None of them. How come they have not brought bills, even if they are shot down in parliament? But at least we see them arguing out these bills in parliament. How come? How come none of them opposed Finance Bill 2024 until the Genzote took to the streets? How come? So I don't want us to have any illusion about the leaders, so-called, that we have. And yes, I agree with Amenya also, it's not generational. And I think if Professor Kibuta also said, these leadership, true revolutionary leadership, is not about age. It's not about class. It's not about religion. It's not about region where you come from. It's not about gender. It has to be based on vision, the political transformative vision that you have. And lastly, what is it that we need to do? What is it that we need to do? If you set yourself a goal and you say, if I don't meet this goal, I do this, you will fail. Never set two goals for yourself. When you go to do an exam and it is a competitive exam, you are aiming to pass. If you say, if I don't pass, I will do this, you will fail. Because you have allowed your head to give you an option higher than what you should attain. So when you go to war, you must fight to win. You can, at the back of your mind, be considering, in the event that I lose, what do I do? Never articulate it publicly. Because then you're setting up yourself. You've even told your enemy you are considering failure. So your enemy knows that failure is an option for you. Your enemy will be fighting you with the aim of winning because they know you have a level at which you will surrender. But if you go to war like there is no surrender, the enemy will succumb because the enemy knows there is no retreat if they don't surrender. So I would rather go to this war with only one aim in purpose, that Ruto is going. And the second aim would be, once we remove Ruto, what do we do with the state called Kenya? We transform it. Then we can now discuss the mechanics of transformation. How does this new state look like? That we can discuss. But we cannot discuss that Ruto is not going to go. What kind of war is that? Then I finish. The name. I think we have to come up with a name. I think that is an attractive proposal. And I think that it is something we should discuss. I also think we should discuss something about the charter and then discuss what is it that we call it. Do we call it Freedom Charter like South Africa? Because freedom and charter does not belong to anybody. Or do we call it Liberation Charter? Whatever it is that it is supposed to be called. Let's synthesize whatever the other group that Mothiora is working with has come up with, and then see if we can have a joint effort. So I'm going to be proactive here. I'm going to invite Jelani, Amenya, Professor Kivuta Kibwana, Maj, and Muthiora to DM me, and we work on something so that in the next space, we can decide how we are going to unveil it. And then the mechanics of what we are going to propose on how this organization is going to organize itself, or the movement, in terms of just real hard work in terms of organization and also mobilization, with the aim of what everybody agrees is Ruto must go. That way we will be very concrete. I have to emphasize the reason why I'm suggesting this is that the meeting that is taking place in Nairobi is a physical meeting. It excludes a lot of people. There are people in the diaspora who want to participate who cannot participate. Then there are people who are in the villages who cannot participate, but they can participate online the way I'm suggesting. And so that we also include everybody, all elements, including people who do not feel comfortable working within that structure that they have set up. Thank you very much. I hope I have made sense. And I wish everybody a good evening. Viva.
Thank you so much, General, and thanks everyone who chimed in, the speakers and the listeners who stayed with us for over 3 hours. Much has been said. I do not have more to add on to, I'd just like to really encourage you to keep fighting, because it's not really easy. The government has set us in a state of, fighting for governance every day, while they sit pretty and loot, while they come and mock us, going to pay the youth that they keep unemployed, knowing very well they're going to come them to play the revolution song, and they dance to it. It's really the highest form of mockery I've seen from a president doing to his fellow citizens. So I really say it's a sad time to be a Kenyan, but let's not give up hope. Let's really keep fighting, but nevertheless try to keep sane. And for the youths that are fighting without, the times are difficult and there's no money. If you get your hands on some little money, don't look for the big business there. I'd encourage you to really just don't shy off from these small jobs that you have. Like, if you're still at home, and you could as well also make, as you fight for your freedom and for the next job, try to find a way, even if you're just cooking at home and selling the lunch as you move away, you're doing the civic education. That way you become more independent and you don't fall into the trap of people trying to buy you, because they'll keep wanting to buy others. So we need to just be vigilant. Don't give up hope, because as they try to ship out the youth, their interest here is being agencies getting money. They'll come and tell you, oh, you don't need to pay, because what they are not telling you is that the companies abroad are paying them. So they don't care. They're supposed to be creating jobs at home. They're not creating jobs at home. They're really just making money out of you. But it's the Kenya that you have. And in most countries in the West, they're even turning against the other people, because life is hard everywhere. But we have a government that's actually at the moment tearing apart our country. And I'm very glad, at least in many countries. In the US, there's an election coming up. There's an election coming up soon in Germany. And the government that actually, when we called them out, and I'm glad this is being recorded, we called them out when people are being killed. We tried to tell them help and help and help. No, what was important for them is signing a bilateral agreement. But God pays back, because that government, some of them have started resigning here, and they're going to lose very terribly. The only thing that is going to help them is that the other party is really worse. So let's not give up hope, because the German government is already being punished as we speak, because God has a way of finding an equilibrium. So comrades, as you go out there, don't be afraid. Fight for your rights. You have a right to education. You have a right to healthcare. You have a right to many things. Let's keep fighting. Thanks again, and God bless you. Bye-bye.